Hello, and welcome to another fully live episode of Hacking with Friends. My name is Kody Kinzie. I am a security researcher at Varonis, and today I'm going to take your best hacking-related questions and try my best to answer them while also attempting to make my computer extremely hot, because today we're also going to be talking about AI image generation and AI text prompt generation, which has been really interesting to me over the last week. And it turns out there have been a ton of advances that allow people to get around some of those, restrictions built into the commercial models. So if you're interested in AI, then that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on, at least partially today, because I've done a lot of digging over the last week, and frankly, it is a lot of fun. So if you're just joining us, we have lots of questions to go over. I'm going to be going through all of the questions that were left on the YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat because I will be checking on them throughout and trying my best to answer them. Hello to James, Serge, and everybody else in everybody else in the chat. Make sure to leave a comment if you want me to answer it. And let's go ahead and get started talking about the stuff that I'm really excited about. That is LLaMA, which we talked about last week, and Stable Diffusion. So LLaMA and Alpaca, what are they? What's the hype around them? And why should you be the least bit interested? So the majority of my Twitter feed recently has been people playing with like Dalai or maybe ChatGPT and getting it to say wild stuff. But obviously it's kind of difficult here. These are models that are locked down by OpenAI, and they're really tuned to make sure that they don't generate anything that's going to get them in trouble. Now, lots of people run into issues where there's basically no fun allowed. You can't ask it to write a piece of code that's deliberately vulnerable because it'll tell you, oh no, it's not ethical to write a piece of code that's deliberately vulnerable. But like, I want to use it for a lab. Like I need it for a lesson, It's a little frustrating to have this AI kind of talk down to me sometimes and be like, hey, I'm not going to do that because I don't think that that's a ethical thing to do. So frankly, there was a lot of kind of gatekeeping around these AI models. And if you've noticed, ChatGPT hasn't been very open. However, Meta made its own AI model a couple of weeks ago and released it to researchers. And guess what? It got leaked on 4chan, of course. So after it got leaked on 4chan, people began to be able to use this model to actually run it on a local computer. And the way that this actually works is like they have a model, they train it on a bunch of data, and then that trained model is able to perform specific functions. And researchers at Stanford University, took the leaked AI model from Meta, which was called the LLaMA, and trained it on a bunch of like inputs and outputs from ChatGPT in order to make it behave more like ChatGPT, thus creating a model called Alpaca, which is much more fine-tuned towards responding towards these sorts of queries. So if you're interested, how do you get your hands on all this? And how much did it actually cost to build this? Well, training Alpaca apparently cost like $600. Like it was something that was relatively cheap and could actually be done on, like a cloud service, but still like a cloud service that is attainable for most people. So this means that theoretically anyway, you can take one of these models that is much, much, much reduced in size and cost from ChatGPT and run it on your own local computer. Like ChatGPT running on your own computer. How cool is that? Obviously, there are some constraints here. This model is much, much smaller and didn't take like $5 million to build. So there's going to be some funkiness and some weirdness. But frankly, it's so cool that you can download this leaked model that I want to show it off a little bit and show how easy it is to do. So let's see if I can pull this up. So first up, I have... I should probably copy the address for this GitHub repository. There's a project that allows you to get started doing this super, super easily. And I'm going to pull that up here as I operate my own stream and camera. Here we go. All right, so this is the project that allows you to get started with running LLaMA and Alpaca on your computer. It's Dalai, sure. And it's run by Cocktail Peanut. So huge props to them. Frankly, this was so beginner friendly and so much fun to get started that I really enjoyed it. So, okay, what kind of computer science do you need to know in order to train an AI model on your computer? Just run this. That's it. Just these two. That's all. That is how simple it's gotten to be able to get this up and running on your computer. So do you want to see it run? Like, obviously, it's a terrible idea to do like heavy, intense like AI training while doing what I'm doing now, but let's see what this looks like. So I went ahead and got this model, downloaded it. I've already installed it, and if I want to say npx Dalai serve, it'll go ahead and create a web interface. So that's that's pretty cool. All right, let's take a look at it. I'm going to go, maybe I'll just go over here. Here we are. So we've actually, this is running on my computer. So we have the Alpaca 13B model. We have 7B. This is how many billions of tokens are included, or yeah, are included. And I can give it a prompt and it'll respond. My computer will get hot though when I do this. So, hello, what is your name? It's going to be like Alpaca, right? Or something like that. Let's see. So again, I apologize if anything happens to the stream while this is happening. Okay. All right. So that's a little, that's something a little bit unexpected here. So obviously that was not the response that like ChatGPT would give. It's asserting that it's a 25-year-old woman like living in the United States. Like that's All right. So it just keeps going. And part of what I think is interesting about this is, to me anyway, it feels like these meta AI models were trained on scraped Facebook posts. I don't have any evidence to back that up, but the way that it kind of looks like a Facebook post from someone I barely know anytime I ask it a question is a little weird, frankly. And like, I do have to wonder like where this is generated. So that sucked, right? Like that was not a good response. Like what a terrible AI. It thinks it's a lady living in Japan. Well, that's not going to solve any questions for me. What is going on here? Well, okay, at its core, ChatGPT and like all these other fancy things are basically like the world's craziest autocomplete. Like it allows you to autocomplete things based on all this text that it's ingested. And that's really what it's super good for. So what can we do then to make our request more like the training data that this receives, so it understands what our request is a little bit more? So I went ahead and wrote, oh, that's not it. There we go. I went ahead and wrote a little article on how to get started working with this model, because obviously it's not that intuitive, right? So if you're working with these LLaMA and Alpaca models, then one thing you really need to have is a template. So here is the classic template that the model was trained on. And you can either pick one that has, for example, like text, instructions and then input, like translate the following into French, versus things that do not have input. It just has an instruction. So let's go ahead and try one. We'll try the first example with instructions. So first, let's go ahead and ask this AI model to translate something into French, shall we? So I'll say, translate this into French. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. And we have not created like a template for this. It's just going to try to autocomplete it. I'm asking it in kind of a natural language fashion, but okay, a cryptic and unhelpful response. Really, really strange. So what if then we use this template that the Stanford researchers trained it on? So the instruction is translate the following sentence into French. I've messed that up so badly. There we go. And then we'll say, let's try it now. So this is also the Alpaca 7B model. I really don't want to kill my computer while we're on the stream. However, I do have the option of going up to like a higher token model that like theoretically could maybe handle this request a little bit better. So, okay, it's got to the part where, look at that. Oh, never mind. It hasn't got to the response yet. I jumped the gun. Let's see if it actually responds properly. Sometimes it won't respond at all, or other times it'll tell me that it too is interested in learning French, which obviously is not very helpful. So look, it refused. It just didn't answer it at all. So let's go ahead and switch to LLaMA 13B. And again, my computer is making a lot of noise right now. Let's see if it can handle this without dropping the stream. I'm really tempting fate on this. There's absolutely no reason to be doing this while I'm streaming, because this is all, again, running a 13 billion parameter model on my MacBook Pro, which I've been begging to be replaced for 2 years. So, okay, while this is running, I just want to also answer a question, which was, what's your favorite drone for penetration testing? I'm assuming you mean penetration testing. I don't know what my favorite drone would be for penetration. But for penetration testing, I use the DJI Mini 2. I really like that drone doesn't need like a commercial like license to fly or like a drone pilot's license. And it also allows you to do a good amount of lifting, frankly, for such a small thing. Look at that. Okay, so sorry, I was kind of talking over this, but you can see we got our AI model to properly, or at least I hope, I haven't spoke French since high school, but it looks like we've gotten it to translate a piece of text into another language. So like when I first downloaded this, I thought it was stupid as hell. I really thought that this model like didn't know what it was doing because I didn't know about the text prompts. But if you use the proper prompts that this was trained on in the first place, it really becomes a ton more useful. So I just have to recommend, if you are a hacker and you want to play with the leaked AI model that originated on like 4chan, in terms of the leak anyway, then I think that this is super cool. And frankly, I've been having way more fun with it than Dalai. So, than ChatGPT. So with that being said, let's move on to text to image generation. So I'm going to shut this down so the computer doesn't die. But as you can see, it was really, really easy to set this up. And it really doesn't matter if you have a computer that's a little slow. Like, frankly, like if you have a MacBook or anything with decent power, like this will run locally on your computer. And it's being updated all the time. In fact, I think there was just an update from Cocktail Peanut that says they got prompt templates, so you don't need to read my LLaMA article anymore. Broken encoding is solved. Text generation can be stopped midway. That's great because sometimes it'll get stuck in a loop, which I find that these smaller parameter models like tend to get either stuck in a loop or hallucinate a little bit the way that like early ChatGPT did. So it's nice that this is being saved. All right, auto config save, and then 30B Alpaca is here. So I don't have enough space on my computer probably to download that with all the other ones. I'm really kind of pushing it with like having the larger LLaMA models, but frankly, it's so cool, you guys. I really highly recommend you check it out because I've had tons of fun with it. And I'm an idiot at AI. I don't know anything about this. I'm just getting started this week, and I think it's like the future. I think it's so cool. All right, so let's talk about deepfakes, huh? So we as cybersecurity researchers constantly have to like, do OSINT and look at photos and try to figure out like what's going on. What if we can't trust our eyes anymore? Or what, as part of a red team, we could generate our own deepfakes? We could make plausible looking photos for a profile or for an event that never happened. Here you can see, in apparently into the future, Donald Trump getting arrested in New York. You can see that unlike some previous photos that had been spread that were made using Stable Diffusion, this got the hands right. So like there's a problem with like some of these AI models where like they just don't know how to do hands, like they make them weird looking, they make them coming out of places they shouldn't be. It's strange looking. But some of these AI models are so good that if you look at these pictures, it really looks real. Like there's a lot of detail. Everything's kind of like right here. So he even has been made to look kind of sad, which frankly is just, an interesting touch. So like, what's the story on this? Like, how locked down is this technology? Can anybody use it? What is the status of deepfakes nowadays? Like, and what can we do as an individual and not some big company in order to make our own fake images? You guys want to find out? Interested? Okay, let's do it. So there's a number of different things you can get into if you're interested in this. There's Stable Diffusion, there's Unstable Diffusion, there's Midjourney, there's lots of cool stuff. I personally was trying to use just Dalai to create some like images the other day for just variety, to give myself some ideas for like a problem I was facing. I needed to decide on like an interface, and I wanted to see what it came up with if I gave it a prompt and told it that it looked like electronic handheld toy or something like that. So so one question from the audience is, what if you connect these things together and try to make it so that one of them can learn from the other? So, okay, here's a question. What if you connect Dalai to ChatGPT API and run script to let it learn from ChatGPT? So Dalai is basically taking text and generating an image based off of it. And if you were to kind of put the two together, you could probably get better and better and better at making like accurate looking images. And frankly, I think that the API for ChatGPT 4 allows you to do that. So that is definitely within the realm of possibility. It's a good question. And then also James is mentioning that Flipper just announced that they are going to be restocking tomorrow. So if you've been like tied to the Flipper locator Twitter account, like trying to find out when the next one's going to come out, then it looks like a big product drop is coming out tomorrow, which is indeed very exciting. Oh, look, do a tutorial on a hacking credit bank. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'll for sure. I'll get right on that. All right, so back to all this cool stuff. So I tried to use Dalai Mini, and look, it was down. It just wasn't accepting anything. It said that it was full to capacity. I tried using like OpenAI's model, Dalai 2, and that was also over capacity, even though I'm like a paying person for it. Like, so I was a little surprised that I couldn't use it at all. So it's like, all right, what is left? Like, how do I create these images if like I can't use anything else? Well, guess what? If you have the worst computer in the world, you can still use things like Stable Diffusion because of Google Colab. So Google Colab is a free, like kind of like Python notebook style environment that comes with your Google account. You have, if you already have a Gmail account, you already have a Google Colab account and you just don't know it, you can actually run some of these AI image generation things on Google Colab that then gives you a web interface to just create whatever you want. So again, instead of making your own computer hot, you are making some computer in Google's data center extremely hot. And that, to me, is probably the most exciting thing about this, because you no longer need to rely on your own resources. So let's go ahead and try. What exactly would we need to do to install fast Stable Diffusion? So what we're going to do is follow this tutorial, which I found incredibly useful, in order to get this up and running. So what we need to do is open up a Google Colab sheet. We can in fact just copy a template one that somebody has already created for us, make a copy to our drive, and then we set up for training. We need to install the dependencies. We need to load a session. It'll go ahead and download a model from Hugging Face. Then we need to give it some images to train on. In my case, I've given it some pictures of my Wi-Fi Nugget because I don't know, I just decided to do that. Here you can see that they decided to upload pictures of Shrek. You name it so that it's just all the same with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever. And then you give it captions so that basically it has a text prompt to associate with that image. And you really, I think I uploaded like 12 or 15 of these. After that, then you train your model. You press a button and it trains for like 20 minutes or so. And that's it, you guys. Like at that point, it will offer up a web interface and allow you to generate your own images. So like, here's what the project looks like. You can see it's pretty easy to go through and get things set up. And then this is what it spits out. This is running on Google Colab. I can now type in suggestions for image generation. And guess what? It'll do it. That's super cool. So, all right, you guys, what do you want me to create? Let's say a hacker sitting on a throne of energy drinks. And when we're doing this, we can also select the sampling method, and this kind of influences the way the picture looks and feels. And we also should specify a type of art style. So I'm going to say photorealistic. Oops. And let's see what we get. Hit generate, and again, this isn't going to disrupt my stream because it's all running on Google Colab. So some Google data center computer is doing all of this work for us. So the first time it runs, it kind of looks like it's not working, or at least it didn't look like it was working the first time. But then we got an ETA for 40 seconds, and then it spits back out at first something that looks kind of like low pixel and confusing, but it'll like generate more and more, and then eventually, wow, that doesn't look photorealistic. But hey, we've got a hacker. I'm not really sure what's going there, and they're sitting on some sort of throne. I'm going to say Renaissance art style and see if we get something different. Okay, there we go. So now we have a Renaissance art style photo of or painting, it looks like, of a hacker sitting on a throne. Okay, let's say on orange and white cats instead. And as you can see, we can add variations here. We can create basically whatever we want. And so what 8-Bit Oni is asking, what site is this? We are actually generating this site via Google Colab. This website is being created from our Google Colab account. So it's not like a public website. It's ours. Like we can shut it down, we can set it up. And literally it just takes maybe 20 minutes for it to do the training on the model. And you need like 12 or 15 pictures that are kind of similar to the style that you're talking about here. So incredibly cool, right? Like we're able to really get descriptive. Okay, so somebody says, my dad. All right. Let's do that then. Wex's dad looking like a gentleman in New York City with a, I don't know, riding a hog. And then oil painting style. I'm sorry if your dad doesn't like New York or riding a hog. I just thought, you know, we should be as specific as possible. And you'll see that this sometimes will, like, you know, remember some things. Okay, so it chose to interpret my hog as like a you know, a motorcycle, which is fair. I'm gonna say, and this is pretty good. Does it look like your dad? You're gonna have to tell me which one. You've got two dads. That's so cool. All right, so Wex's dad looking like a gentleman in New York City riding a hog. Let's say a pig. I really hope that it generates a literal pig and doesn't attempt to use slang to determine what I'm trying to say here. Although it would be, there we go. Look at that. It's your dad riding a pig in New York City, no less. So obviously your dad doesn't have a face, and I'm sorry for that, but we can get really specific here. And frankly, this is something that you can use to do a lot of really interesting and cool stuff. Again, this is free, you guys. There's no restrictions on it. And frankly, last night it was all too eager to create images that definitely would have been not allowed on Dalai. So obviously, if that's something you're interested in, more like not safe for work stuff, this will generate it all day. However, there's a separate project called Unstable Diffusion that's more towards the community that focuses on not safe for work stuff. It's basically models that are trained on explicit content, whereas these models are not trained on as much explicit content, but they might include some references to it. So it's like these fine-tuned models are kind of like pointed towards a specific application, and this one is pretty general. We can kind of do whatever we want. So frankly, like if you haven't tried this before, if you are a little bit behind on like all this cool AI stuff that's coming out, it's amazing. And this isn't even all the features that I kind of want to go through and share. I'm actually going to turn off my screen for a second while I go over to the second part of this. And while I answer your questions, I also want to show a second feature of this, which is image like modification. It's really cool. So basically the way that this works is you take an image and it will allow you to modify that image. And I think it's really interesting how you can take something and change it up just a little bit using AI. So I'm going to try to find something kind of neutral. Okay, I think I found something. I'll turn my screen back on. I never want to browse my system files on full live. All right, so what is this? So if we go to image, then we're actually changing the way that this model works. Instead of just giving it a text prompt, we can give it an image prompt to start from. So here's a symbol that I came up with for the Wi-Fi Nugget. You can see that we've got some other options here, and I can say that I want to see an evil-looking cat logo in pink instead of purple. I don't know. Let's try it. So what it should do is take this image as a reference and then modify it over here. Last night I was getting, I was trying to replicate the like Donald Trump getting arrested by like New York or whatever, and I was able to get a lot of pictures that look very similar. But as you can see here, we took this original image and then we got a variation on it. So this one's actually cuter. It looks a little like meaner, but then it's got like the whiskers and it's got the heart for some reason. As you can see, we can take like a portrait of someone maybe and then modify it. We can make it look like an oil painting. We can even take pictures of ourselves and give it like a cool AI treatment and like make us like standing somewhere cool or whatever. Let's see if we can make this like a 3D render. These are always really creepy. I've been playing with oil paintings always look really weird. Renaissance paintings look very strange. And then 3D renders look like very creepy. Okay, so kind of, whoa, I don't know what's going on with that. I kind of ignored the art style suggestion. But frankly, like there's a lot you can do here, not just from creating something totally from a text prompt, but also taking an existing image and modifying it to be something else. So man, all this stuff is so cool. Again, you can get started with this for free. You just need to follow this tutorial and have a Gmail account, and you're basically ready to go in about 20 minutes generating your own images from Stable Diffusion. So I've been blown away by this. I think it's so cool. And our suggester who wanted previously to do the banking thing is, can it draw hands? I accept this challenge from you. Yes, let's make it draw hands. Back to text to image. Let's say a bunch of hands all clapping, 3D render style. And let's go ahead and change the sampling method just because we can. This will affect the way the image is kind of like sampled up into something. And if you're totally new to AI, the way this works is basically it starts with an image that's pure noise, and it attempts to denoise it to the point that it looks good. Okay, so the answer is no. Look at these hands, you guys. Ew, gross. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 1, 2, 3. Humans have 4 hands, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this guy's weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe that's just, it seems like there's a shadow finger behind here. So, okay, is the version of Stable Diffusion you're able to get running in 20 minutes going to create convincingly fake hands? I don't know. Can you see good? Let's make it, let's say oil painting. A bunch of hands all holding a fat orange cat, oil painting style. See what that looks like. So yeah, man, I'm just so blown away by all this. I think it's super cool, but obviously could use a little bit of work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yet none of them is a thumb. But okay, anyway, so as you can see, there's a little bit of work to be done here before it fakes everything. But yeah, everybody's saying nice, like this looks great, looks accurate. David is also saying that Runway Gen 2 is almost ready for prime time, and it will do text to video. That sounds super cool, because frankly, like if you're able to generate like 3D models from these sort of queries, then like putting them on a video or animating them like kind of seems like the logical next step. So yeah, really excited about all this about all this AI stuff that's coming out. And if this is your first time trying it, then I highly recommend working on one of these projects. It's just kind of like you can run on your own computer, generate your own potentially deep fakes, and generate your own like AI images that could potentially fool someone, just not when it comes to hands. Try to hide the hands at all costs. Although, again, I'm hearing that Midjourney 5 has figured out how to do hands. And if you're interested in that, that is a project that you can take on as well. So, all right, so far we've showed off the Meta leaked AI model, which you can get running in just a matter of minutes on your computer. Super well supported. And again, the link is, that's wrong. The link is, no, the link is somewhere. I'll show it to you in a minute. Yeah, so all these projects are, again, free. They are available for anybody who wants to work on them. And if you're interested in AI or, trying to get this to write code, for example, I would say that I have not been able to get the LLaMA or Alpaca models to write good code the way that ChatGPT can apparently write decent code sometimes. It really is quite terrible at it, frankly, right now. But you might have more luck than me. And frankly, more and more advanced models are coming out almost every day for this project. So if I was going to recommend anything this week, this would be the project to check out because it is really cool. Also, some other people chiming in with some more resources. Blue Willow is also free image generation. And yeah, wow. All right, so we've got another question from the chat, and this is, following you for a while, and I managed to get my first cybersecurity position. Congratulations. I was wondering what tips you would give to somebody entering their first cybersecurity position. Interesting. So I think that like the top thing that I was confused by when I was going into cybersecurity was priorities. Like I really didn't understand like what the business I was working for thought of cybersecurity. I thought that it was like their highest priority and that it was something that would get solved immediately. But frankly, like learning about the priorities of your organization and how to get things pushed through is like the hardest, I would say, and also one of the most essential parts of like learning a new role in cybersecurity. Yes, you obviously want every computer to not be vulnerable, and you want to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible. However, they want to make money, and if some of these things are not money makers, then they can get delayed indefinitely, maybe never fixed. And it can be really difficult and time consuming to try to convince someone that they should fix something. So I would say like, it's great to keep up with skills. It's good to, be proactive and let people know, what you're seeing and try to like, just engage as much as possible, but also realize they might not care. They really might be in some other like financial bind or completing some other like business thing, and they just don't care about cybersecurity. So if you're working for a cybersecurity company, that's great. And I work for a cybersecurity company. Varonis is great about that. It's always a priority for us, and I never have to, tell them that they need to take something seriously because they already do. But if you're working for a company that does not focus on cybersecurity and you're just in a cybersecurity role there, it may be a battle. And frankly, I found it to be a learning curve when it comes to who do you need to talk to, how do you need to frame it, and what do you need to do in order to get something actually fixed. So might not be the answer you're expecting. I mean, definitely like keep up with new stuff. And like, I would say as a cybersecurity professional, you really need to be up on this AI stuff. There's so much convincing like phishing things coming out, and there's so many resources that red teamers have now that they didn't have before. Stay up with all that stuff. That's kind of what I'm trying to do in the last week, and then also presenting all this AI stuff to all of you. All right, let's look for some more questions. Did they actually fix legs in the metaverse? That's incredible. I don't know. I've never been on the metaverse. I feel like Facebook already spies on me enough. They don't need to have like a 360-degree view of everything I'm doing. I also, the reason why I'm like running these like a Dalai model or LLaMA and Alpaca models is I love the fact that this was leaked from Facebook. I think it's so funny because that corporation is sketchy. But so no, I have not gone into the metaverse. I have not played with it just because I'm afraid of them watching me from all angles, you know? All right, so I'm also going to go over to the questions that we've had on the account, as well as some comments, and we can go through a couple of those because I don't want to ignore anyone that's been kind enough to leave us a comment. So one of them is talking about the drop of SMS support in Signal. This happened literally yesterday, and what I learned about this after complaining about it is that Europeans don't use SMS. They don't. They just use other stuff. The United States seems to be the only country that still uses SMS, and SMS agreeably and admittedly sucks. But frankly, Android devices cannot communicate with iPhones because iPhones have gone with iMessage and Google has focused on another messaging protocol. So as a result, SMS is really the only way that those two types of devices can communicate when they're sending text messages. So because Signal has dropped this, it primarily affects Android users in the United States, like me, who struggles to convince friends and family that they should get on a messaging app that requires them to silo their communication. Well, guess what? Now, not only do I get to convince them to download and install Signal, I also get to tell them that they can't text anybody on it who isn't on Signal. So it's just another one of those messengers you have someone download and they can't communicate with anybody who's not registered on it. It's frankly a pain. It makes it so much more difficult to get people who are not super security conscious, but willing to use a security product that's convenient, just not use it. So I can expect a lot of Android users in the United States to go back to SMS as a result of Signal dropping the support. And I've got a lot of people who like don't seem to understand like what the issue is here. But frankly, if you're trying to get people to use this and you have a mixed group of people, some of whom are using Signal and some of whom are using not, it is really a pain to have to separate those two apps and keep like a mental list of who you can talk to on Signal and who you can't. Frankly, I'm going to be using it a lot less. And I think it's a lazy thing to do. I've also had some people telling me that SMS is on their way out. Like, let me know when that happens. Like, SMS has been on its way out since like 2018 or before. It was invented in like 1998. So it's been around for such a long time. I agree it's not a good technology. It's full of bugs. There's issues. But if you're going to make it more difficult for people to communicate, and especially for people to get their friends and family who might not be security practitioners to use this, I'm just going to switch to something else. Frankly, like Signal has been focusing on nonsense features for quite some time, and it now has like a stories feature like Instagram. Like I want everybody on my Signal contact list who may or may not be my actual friends or people I want to talk to see what I'm up to. No, thank you. Like, I'm just not interested. And frankly, it seems like they're trying to pursue like WhatsApp in terms of like feature sets and competition. And this was never WhatsApp. Like it replacing WhatsApp doesn't really work in terms of my use case. So it seems like a lot of what they focused on is in like other parts of the world where SMS messaging is really expensive and they just don't want to support it anymore. But frankly, in the United States for Android users, it's a huge blow and it's going to make a lot of people use the app less. So that's my take on it. Not a huge fan. And another question, what's your favorite drone for penetration? Still the DJI Mini 2. I've had some time to think about it and I still really like that drone. Good for lifting, good 4K camera, and I've run it into a bridge 6 times and it managed to come back alive. So tough little drone, even considering what I've done to it. All right, so next up, so one of our viewers, Rational Bushcraft, downloaded Kali Purple. So Kali Purple was supposed to be a more like blue team oriented version of Kali Linux that has more tools for defenders who might have felt a little bit left out in the red team specific or red team focused versions of Kali Linux that were released before. So there's a lot for everyone here. It seems that it's mostly still red team stuff, but yeah, it's the first impressions seem to be mostly that like still red team stuff, not a lot of stuff for blue teamers, but still I think going in the right direction, and hopefully they'll be able to add on more things to make this platform useful for blue teamers. Okay, so I was talking a little bit about Flipper Zero and kind of some hit and miss stuff that they've done. So Flipper, fortunately, by the way, if you're looking for one, they're going to be restocking tomorrow in the United States, has a I button reader. Now, if you know what an I button is, drop it in the chat because I barely know what an I button is, but it's basically like this little, it looks like a coin cell battery that you can stick in like a public place. And what I see it for is usually the security guards will go around, and as they're doing their rounds, they'll tap it, and it acts as a data point where like their little baton or whatever eventually will spit out like what their round was and like show when they like went to each place and have a timestamp, something like that. Again, like kind of weird, right? Like a very niche technology. And the only place I've really seen it in use is in downtown Los Angeles, where the BID or Business Improvement District security guards, as they're doing their rounds, will like tap on these things. And I was like, what is this? Like who hot glued like a watch battery, to a wall? I have not seen this technology anywhere else. And the fact that they built it into the Flipper Zero and spent the time to like include the hardware and the software is wild to me, because again, I've looked hard and I have not found a single I button in the wild in months of searching. So if you know anything more about I buttons, or if you know why Flipper decided to focus on that, then please let me know, because I found it a little bit perplexing that they went forward with including this on their main product when frankly, I never see this hardware in the wild. So yeah, if you know about I buttons, if you feel strongly about it, sound off, let us know, because I frankly do not know what these are for. What's the schedule for streaming? Are you on Twitch also, or just YouTube? And when's the next planned Q&A? Well, Moxie Prime, I hope that you're watching today. There you go. Because it's now. We are doing our stream now every Wednesday and every Friday at the same time, 1 p.m. We used to do it a little bit later because I like to sleep in. But now that Michael is hunting the Squatch permanently, I have to run the stream by myself, and I just want to get it over with, So doing this bright and early, for me anyway, at 1 p.m. Mountain time, of course, is very convenient. So you can catch us now and also on Friday at the exact same time. I think I saw a question about, yes, what's new coming on the Wi-Fi Nugget? So the Wi-Fi Nugget is a project that I've been working on for quite some time. I'm going to turn the screen off for a second. I happen to have one in front of me right here. And this is a little microcontroller board that links a D1 Mini or an S2 Mini microcontroller to a screen and buttons to make it just much more useful. So we have two different versions. The S2 Mini version is called the USB Nugget, and it allows you to do like Hack 5 USB rubber ducky style attacks. But we also have the Wi-Fi Nugget, and that uses the D1 Mini, and it allows you to do some really interesting Wi-Fi attacks, like Wi-Fi deauthentication, extracting previously connected to networks from devices around you, like all sorts of cool stuff. Even Wi-Fi phishing is possible on it. So in terms of what's coming up, I have a couple modifications. One of them is a battery mod. I've added a little battery LiPo charging module to the back of this, which should be available for anybody who wants to upgrade their Wi-Fi Nugget into having a battery, so it can be powered on without having to plug it into any device. On top of that, the D1 Mini module that we put on it has actually been updated, which is really cool. So the D1 Mini uses an ESP8266. It's a really reliable and cool microcontroller. But it's been around for such a long time that there are multiple iterations of this that have come out. So I'm going to switch my screen over real quick, and I'll show you what the newest version of this looks like. So this is the new D1 Mini. The old version had like a module kind of like just stuck right in the center. This one has a lot of cool stuff. It has an I2C connector on the side. And it's one-sided. Really, that's it. Those are the two things. It has an I2C connector and it's one-sided. Now, one-sided means that it is flat. It is very flat. And there's nothing on this side that prevents it from being like pretty much flush up against the PCB. So if you wanted to, this is a way of making your Nugget a little bit flatter and a little bit more, USB Type-C oriented. Because frankly, I am so incredibly tired of using micro USB. This upgrade to USB Type-C is a godsend. I love it. So there's two different versions of like the newly updated D1 Mini. After some testing, I think something is up with this I2C right here. Like I think maybe it's connected to like some buttons or whatever, because I'm getting some flashing problems with this specific version. So there's another version that still has USB Type-C, but is otherwise kind of similar to the original, that I'm going to be making the base model for all of our new Wi-Fi nuggets in the future. So if you order a Wi-Fi nugget in the future, you should be able to get like one of these backpacks that either adds the ability to charge it with a LiPo battery, or a new version of the D1 Mini that is USB Type-C. So both of our products will have the exact same interface, and you can throw away, finally, your micro USB cables, which I've been looking to do forever. I do not know of a good quiet drone, unfortunately. It is incredibly loud. Let's see. Any networking tips for finding a job in the future? Yeah, so I've been doing some networking, and let me tell you how I've been doing some cybersecurity networking using ChatGPT and like volunteering a little bit of my time to have an excuse to talk to people I want to talk to. So I've really been wanting to get involved in cybersecurity where I live, but the problem is like it's kind of a closed environment. You really either need to know someone or otherwise have like the ability to talk to someone in order to get a conversation started. And I tried doing some outreach, but nobody was really replying to me. So I went to my local library. I found the makerspace there, and I offered to do a class. And then I used ChatGPT to write a custom email to everybody in the same city who was at the university doing cybersecurity or in charge of cybersecurity education, inviting them to come to this free class that I'm doing and forward it on to their students. Out of like 20 people that I hit with like a custom, like non-copy and pasted email, 2 of them replied, but that was enough. I got an invitation to the school. I got to meet the other professors. I got introduced to other people in the cybersecurity field in my city. And that was really what I needed to open the door. So what worked for me was doing something for others, like being able to like meet other hackers or do like a little event or meet up at the local makerspace, and just turning around and inviting other security professionals ended up giving me a great excuse to talk to them. So that's how I've been doing networking, kind of like AI assisted networking, is like doing an event or something that can like get other people around that you want to talk to or have some reason to be around. It could be a mixer, it could be a workshop like mine, and then using that as an excuse to talk to people who otherwise would be too busy. Frankly, it's worked out great for me, and not copy and paste the same message to all these people because they work with each other and they're going to be able to tell. That was a huge time saver to use AI to help me with that, to make the letters look good, but still like individually like crafted for the position that person has at the institution they work at. So AI assisted networking, it's a thing. Like you can make an event and then make that event widely known, because this is a really great tool for like marketing, frankly, and being able to communicate authentically with people at scale is really something that can help your cybersecurity career if you have an excuse to talk to these people in the first place. So hopefully that is helpful. So another person asked if I've checked out Kali Purple yet. I have not. I've been too busy on the Stable Diffusion stuff. Like I am fascinated by it, but I need to, because the new version of Kali is out. I do have a ThinkPad that I need to repair. But as soon as I get that fixed, then yes, I will be trying out the new version of Kali. And if you guys want me to review it or go through and like show off some of the new tools that are in it, I am absolutely happy to do that. All right. Let's see. What are some other questions? I'm that guy from India who's dreamed about getting support OLED to Space India V3. What do you think about it? Oh, cool. What a great question. So the class that I'm going to be teaching at the Makerspace is actually using the V3 Deauther. So I was involved in the development of this, and I was like, hey, Spaceune, like, I can't do some of the advanced attacks that I want to do research on using the V2 Deauther. And the capability is there, but frankly, by offering up the web interface, it makes the radio too busy to be able to do some of these dedicated attacks that are frankly incredibly cool and bleeding edge. So we worked together to make a different version that was the V3 Deauther. It doesn't have OLED support, and it basically uses like all the resources that used to be available for the web interface, meaning the Wi-Fi radio and all that memory, and also the screen, to instead have a version that is purely command line. And what's cool about it is it basically acts like a pre-programmed wireless network adapter. So it has all these like attacks built into it, and it has a really nice interface for being able to work with it. So what's cool also is that Web Serial has come out since then. So you can plug a D1 Mini or a Wi-Fi nugget into your computer, flash it over a web interface, and then use a serial interface also from a website to connect to it and do all these Wi-Fi attacks. So that means no command line stuff, none of the complicated things that used to kind of put people off of using microcontrollers. And frankly, I think that makes this a way cooler project. So if you're looking for advanced Wi-Fi hacking, the V3 Deauther is where to go. Now, the question was like, why would you want to put screen support on the V3 Deauther when the point of it is to basically be as lean as possible so you can reallocate all those resources back towards attacks? Well, that's tough because some of the abilities of this device are, creating like 100 fake Wi-Fi networks all at the same time. With like 4 buttons, how do you type out like a Wi-Fi network name that you want to fake? Like, right? Like you really need to use either like something else to plug into it to provide quick input, or something else to make it a little bit easier to use. So I would say if you're going to do that, then if you made like a backpack for our USB Nugget, so it could communicate over serial with the V3 Deauther, you've basically created exactly what you're talking about. Yes, technically it is 2 microcontrollers talking to each other instead of 1, but frankly, the D1 Mini is so resource constrained and there's like so little memory there that trying to get it to do all these advanced Wi-Fi attacks like Wi-Fi phishing, where it's like deauthing and like creating an access point and like all this other stuff all at the same time, it's just too much for this little chip to do. So if you have like a controller chip and then an attack chip where like the controller chip is providing the interface, maybe a web interface or something, and also allowing you to do some simple attacks from the screen and buttons, like that is totally possible. I think you could pull it off and it would be really, really useful. And in fact, we are doing some research into connecting the S2 Mini to the D1 Mini and using it exactly that way. So super good idea. It's actually kind of in the pipeline for what we're looking at, but if you're going to work on it, like please let me know how it works for you. I would just discourage you from potentially trying to get it all working on one chip. There are fancier D1 Mini chips that have more memory available, but they only have 1 antenna. So, some of the more advanced attacks, you just couldn't offer up a web interface. And frankly, some of them just wouldn't be useful if you don't have an on-screen keyboard to type stuff in. So just something to think about. Really good question, though. And if you haven't checked out the V3 Deauther, it's like I have a whole Udemy class on it. You can go to my personal website, hack.gay, and you can find the Udemy class on using it. It's frankly one of the cooler classes that I've ever created. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. James says web serial is so nice. Yeah, imagine the ability to take one of these microcontrollers, just plug it into your computer, and then instantly be able to send and receive text from it via a web interface. Chrome has been supporting this for a while now. Unfortunately, Firefox still does not support it, which is so lame. And I really hope that they catch up because this is just a godsend for microcontroller people. It makes teaching this sort of thing so much easier. And frankly, it's the only reason that I'm able or willing to do the class that I'm doing at the Makerspace coming up. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. The class is unfortunately sold out, but I will be doing more of them at the Missoula Makerspace. It was like rated like the best library in the world last year. So it's just an incredibly beautiful and very, very fancy modern library with an amazing hackerspace that I'm super excited to present at. So all right, another question. This one about my favorite program, Airgeddon. So if you don't pick up on the sarcasm, I was doing a piece with David Bumball, and Airgeddon was just crashing left and right, just embarrassing me, just like really giving it to me on like a very tense moment. So the developer of Airgeddon messaged me, emailed me, and then like Twitter direct messaged me multiple times being like, why weren't you using the most current version? And I thought I was. Like I just dusted off this computer, got started, and it was having all these issues. But all right, so why does Airgeddon say you need a graphical X interface to continue, though I have a GPU installed? Okay, so this is a program that basically piggybacks off of other programs and runs them automatically for you. So Airgeddon is a wireless attack suite that allows you to do all these cool attacks, and most of them are actually other Kali tools or like Linux tools that have just been scripted to run in a specific way from this framework. Do I like Airgeddon? I would give it a 7 out of 10. Like there's a lot of problems with it where you can get stuck in places of the logic flow that the creator obviously never thought about. And then there's just no way to continue and you just have to exit the script. That happens a medium amount, and there are some bugs, there are some issues. Getting it set up and started isn't as easy as it used to be. I have my complaints, but frankly, it's still a really easy way to get started with these wireless attacks, and I like it a lot. So why does it need a graphical X interface in order to continue? Well, because it is a hodgepodge of other tools, it's going to be spawning additional windows. And these windows are going to be running in parallel with each other. For example, when you do like certain attacks, it'll spawn like 5 windows, one of them to do the attack, one of them to monitor, one of them to create a web interface, one of them to serve up like a website on that, and then another one to tell you if the user types anything and you've succeeded with phishing. That's a lot. And because it uses a graphic X window to do that, if you are using command line only, it won't work because it can't spawn a new window. It's locked into one. So you do need a graphic user interface in order to use Airgeddon. I agree it's confusing because it seems like a command line tool, but again, it's just spawning windows that are running another tool with a specific wrapper on it. Like it's not really doing a lot of its own work. It's just kind of a bunch of stuff all tied together. So because of that, it cannot run in a purely command line environment. It needs to be able to pop open those windows, run stuff, and have you close them if need be. So that's why. Really do like Airgeddon though. I like the space theme. It's got a lot of cool Wi-Fi hacking stuff. But yeah. All right, more questions. Make It Hackins here. Hello, and thank you again for being the only reason I managed to get my hand on a couple of flippers to do some testing. They were sold out, and the flipper locator was the only way that I was able to. Can't wait to see new versions of the Wi-Fi Nugget flying off the shelf at DC31. Yeah, me neither. It's gonna be really cool. I'm already looking forward to DEF CON, and I've already done a lot of work on the next generation of the Nugget. It's going to be really cool and exciting. And if you have any suggestions, I'm hearing all sorts of things from like add more buttons so you can do an on-screen keyboard, to make it skinnier, to like give it more powers. So there's a lot of stuff we could do. I'm kind of trying to narrow down exactly what people want and what's going to be used very much. But I feel infrared. Frankly, like there's so much fun to be had with Flipper, being able to turn things on and off. Seems easy. Like I kind of want to throw it on the next version of the Nugget. Let me know what you think, but I think of all the things I could add, infrared would probably be the most fun and most simple you could do, as well as maybe an SD card to make it so you can save larger files and be able to load things the way the Flipper does. So that's kind of the roadmap for now. I'm super looking forward to DEF CON, and yeah, man. So we're getting a good amount of comments now, of course, as we slowly start to wind down. Let's see. Can you create a demo for elk on Kali Purple incorporating some honeypots? I haven't had the time to try it myself. I've been making my own honeypot, so I don't know what elk is. I'm gonna have to look that up. But I mean, certainly, I'm really interested in honeypots, and especially ones that are designed to like really trick attackers. Like I've been deploying some honeypots that are literally just like Circuit Python on a USB nugget. And one of the programs I developed was a deliberately vulnerable, web application that people could attack. But a second one was a honeypot that stays on your network, and when people try to log into it or even load it, it alerts you that somebody is on your network going in places that they shouldn't go. Pretty simple, pretty interesting. But frankly, if I'm on a more advanced attacker, first off, I'm not going to go after some random device that looks like a webcam or something but doesn't have the right ports open. And second, like if I see it's an expressive device and it's pretending to be something other than an expressive device, it's pretty obvious that it could be a honeypot. So there's lots of other options out there for tricking attackers. Some of them are extremely elaborate, and some of them are pretty simple. I tend to go with more simple ones, but I'll take a look at elk and see, if there's any easy way of running it. Because frankly, some of these honeypots are so advanced, it's kind of hard for beginners to get started. I found it a little bit discouraging. And also hello to Mark on LinkedIn. We just got our LinkedIn integration working again. So I'm really glad to see people from LinkedIn saying hello and chiming in on the conversation, because yeah, man, it was a struggle to get back up and running on LinkedIn. And then Make It Happen Hackin is also reminding us that, yes, if you want a flipper, then tomorrow is the day. If you're in the United States, the official store is going to be restocking. I think I will abstain on this one because at this point I have 3 flippers, and that's enough for testing. It's time for there to be some flippers for the rest of you guys. So make sure to grab one tomorrow if you're interested, and because who knows how fast they'll sell out, probably on the same day if I had to guess. All right, so we're kind of coming up towards the end of our show today, and that I mean we have 2 minutes left. I want to thank everybody for the extremely lively conversations and great questions. If you have a question that hasn't been answered on the stream, like what is elk, then go ahead and go on the Security Forward channel, leave it, and I will make sure to respond to it on the next live stream. And I just want to go back and also highlight to anybody who is joining us late, if you haven't tried out some of these really cool Stable Diffusion or other AI tools that can run either locally on your computer or for free on Google Colab, I have this one running right now. This is a bunch of hands touching a cat. Don't get any weird ideas, but we can really just generate whatever we want. And I'm only scratching the surface of the potential here for cybersecurity practitioners, or for anybody who's interested in kind of the next bleeding edge thing. You're probably going to be seeing deepfakes rendered with these sorts of things in the news, spread to you by friends and contacts, or even used by adversaries to like make fake profile pictures or stage events that never happened. You should get to know what these look like, the tells, and how easy it is to really do, because a couple of years ago, none of this was possible. And this is all an incredibly new and frankly fascinating frontier for cybersecurity and for anybody just interested in technology. So make sure to check it out. You can follow this tutorial, which I will be retweeting as well, if you want to set this up on your own Google Colab instance. Again, this is free. It just makes some random computer in a Google data center very hot. And you can start looking at like what text to image prompts look like, or image to image. I highly recommend you guys check out the image to image. We explored that a little bit today, but being able to take an image of a person and then modify it. Obviously, I didn't do that today. I just used a graphic image. But frankly, this is crazy. You can really start from a high quality image of a person and start giving them a mustache or otherwise like changing things to be really weird. So we're in a very strange time when most of this stuff is coming out. If you're watching this on repeat, like Leo's about to do because he just got here, then this is a good one. Like I went through a couple things. I went through the leaked LLaMA AI model and how you can get it running in 2 commands on your own computer, and also how you can start generating your own AI images for free in just about 20 minutes training your own model. So altogether incredible. Like I'm really excited to be sharing this with you guys. And if you have any questions about AI or some of the things that are coming out here, I am happy to both ask the AI, prompt it myself, or do some more walkthroughs on how to get started yourself using some of these advanced AI tools. Because ChatGPT is great, but when it goes down, what are you going to do? Like it's good to know how to get around these things, because I'm sorry, but OpenAI is giving me like early, like malevolent Facebook vibes. I have nothing to base that on. This is pure speculation. I just feel there's an alternative, I'll take that, you know? Like, anyway, so that's been our stream for today. I want to thank again everybody who's been live in the stream. And yeah, we'll be live again on Friday to talk about the news of the week. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out. So much so that I didn't even mention any of it today because I know we wouldn't have time to get through all the AI stuff. But stay tuned on Friday where we'll go through all of our stuff. And you can also check out all the great stuff our sponsor has to offer by going to varonis.com/Kody to check out the events we have this week. Last week, we had our proactive incident response, and this week we have more great content. So again, big shout out to Varonis for sponsoring the stream, and make sure to check out not only the varonis.com/Kody link, but also some of the articles I've written and some of the other great free content they have on their site. So we'll see you all on Friday, and yeah, have a good one, everyone. Now I got to find the exit graphic. There we go. All right. Bye, everyone.